All right, so we are back, and as most of you guys know at this point, yesterday, as you're seeing this video, Sneako sparred Sean Strickland. Now, everyone that knows Sean Strickland knows he's not a conventional fighter or person. The guy is, for most intents and purposes, off in his own world, on his own journey, and does things to the beat of his own drum. And the beating of a drum is an apropos phrase to use for this, because that's exactly what he did. He decided to spar Sneako, an influencer, and not just spar him, but beat the living out of him. I can't stand this. You guys know this. I hate when people that have training go and spar people that don't and absolutely destroy them for no reason other than to flex the fact that they're better fighters and that they can beat people up that don't know how to fight. It's stupid, it's reckless. And all it proved is that Sean Strickland is a bully. What do I mean? The breakdown. Let's go. All right, so this isn't the greatest quality in the world, but it's because it's on Twitter. I haven't found the video really anywhere else. So this is from Sneako's Rumble channel. You guys go and follow, you know what I'm saying, become a member, whatever it is over there with Sneako. But here's him on live stream sparring Sean Strickland. And we're going to get to why this is even worse than you think, at least in my opinion, after we get to the area where Sean starts him up. But this thing's 4 minutes long, and people are using this full round of sparring to kind of excuse what Sean does at the end here. Nah, that's horse, and we're gonna get to why. I'm sorry I'm cursing so much, but I can't stand this stuff. You guys know it. When Jake did it with the guy air rack, I said the same thing. It's bullshit. You don't do this to people that aren't as good as you just because you fucking can. Anyway, before I start getting too heated, let's just look at this thing here.
Let's see the influencer. Think about if you knocked me out, how cool that would look for your, you could actually accomplish something by doing nothing.
So now he's trolling Sneako a little bit. And again, I don't mind any of this. He's letting Sneako work. Sneako, by the way, looks pretty decent with his jab to the body there, right hand, but nothing that's hurting Sean too much. And again, using what's happening now to excuse what Sean does later is the definition of gaslighting. To be like, well, listen, Sean let him punch him as hard as he could or as hard as he wanted, so why can't he do that to Sneako? No, that's not how this works. Sean looks like he's above 200 pounds right now. He is the former middleweight champion of the world in the UFC, otherwise known as the best fighting league in the world. And Sneako's boxed for a couple of months and hasn't really sparred anyone. I like these jabs to the body, though, from Sneako, right? Nice jab to the body. Tries to give him a combination. Now, again, Sneako is sparring and throwing shots upstairs. And by the way, the fact that Forrest Griffin and Jake Shields stand by and watch this shit, both of you guys, who I have a lot of respect for, are also responsible for this shit. You don't stand by with your experience and your experience, knowing what Sean is about to do to him, and act like this is all okay. Yeah, man, hey, go in there and spar with this guy who notoriously doesn't spar light ever and tries to take people's heads off, and just allow him to do it. And like I said, Sneako going upstairs is probably because there was no parameter set for what Sneako was supposed to be doing. So he has no idea. He's going to go in and spar what he thinks a spar is, or at least what he's been told by maybe someone that's experienced in this shit, what it's supposed to be. He's in here throwing punches because no one's telling him how to do this or what's okay or what the line is, which they just decided to ignore and run straight past with everyone else pointing and laughing. Nice.
You know, as this round progresses, it's going to get noticed works for you.
I like Sneako's jab, though. I like him keeping his head relatively down and staring at Sean in the chest versus looking eye to eye with him. Keep his chin down a little more. Shoulders are a little higher.
We got 4 minutes. As we get closer to the 3-minute mark, you're about to feel a significant more amount of pain.
So Sean says, we have 4 minutes. As we get closer to the 3-minute mark, you're going to feel significantly more amounts of pain. Now, again, people looking at this and be like, see, he warned him. He warned him what he was going to do. Sean could tell him anything at this point, and Sneako couldn't do a thing about it. Sean could tell him, I'm going to kill you. When that thing hits 1 minute, I'm going to try to murder you. And other than Sneako taking the gloves off right there and being like, I'm done, he couldn't do a fucking thing about it. Him telling him that as some kind of warning, as if to be like, prepare yourselves, protect yourself, is again complete buffoonery, because he knows, like I know and everyone else that watched this doesn't matter what Sean Strickland says to him. Sneako can't protect himself at all.
There should be setting in right now, then nothing you can do can hurt me.
Again, you hear Sean, he's like taunting him about it. Yeah, there should be setting in that nothing you can do can hurt me. No f***ing shit. No shit, Sean Strickland. Of course nothing he can do can hurt you. The point of this should not have been for Sneako to come in and try to hurt Sean Strickland, just like it shouldn't have been for Strickland to try to come in and hurt Sneako. The point of this kind of spar, especially when we get to later on and we find out who actually asked for this spar. Spoiler alert, it wasn't fucking Sneako. The point of this should have been to teach Sneako a little bit more about the sport. And sure, you can hit him with some shots that are called awareness shots or understanding shots or warning shots, things that you hit him with to the body preferably, that let him know, hey, this is a level that I can go to if I want to, but I'm here to show you how boxing and MMA and these sports work without trying to kill you, because what's the point in doing that? But apparently Sean's ego is so fragile that he needed to show that to us and Sneako.
And this is a moment that as you're realizing, you're about to have a really bad fucking day in the next minute.
Again, though, I like Sneako moving his feet. Nice jab to the body. It's places like this where Sneako can hopefully learn a little bit. In these first 3 minutes, again, I have no problem with anything Sean Strickland has done so far. It's a good body shot.
Did you think this is how it was gonna go?
Sneako is not doing bad.
Yeah, whoever's operating the camera is right. Sneako isn't doing bad. Now, again, he has nothing coming back at him, which is, yes, where Sneako will struggle. And like everybody struggles when they start combat sports, it's easy to throw the punches. It's not as easy to throw the punches after being punched back. It's just a simple progression of the sport. But just like that word I just used, progression, the offensive progression needs to be that. The defensive quality needs to be built on progression. Sneako needs to understand what punches are what, how to see them coming, how to defend them before you put him in a live spar with someone of this caliber in Sean Strickland. I know people are like, well, that's how I learned. I was thrown into the fire. Show me your first spar being with the world champion, him trying to knock you out cold. That's a nice turn on some shots here from Sneako. This is something, again, we're here to talk about Sean Strickland being an asshole, but Sneako actually, again, Sean's letting him, but I'm just watching the technique that Sneako's starting to provide on offense that I haven't seen from him previously, right? Him starting to sit down on shots. Right hand, left hook. Now, again, we do want to see these hands, when he throws hooks, come back and answer the phone versus just being by our waist here, because that is where you can get countered and get hurt with shots.
Oh.
And again, Sneako goes upstairs, but I can almost guarantee you no one told him the parameters of what this spar is supposed to be.
2 minutes. I want to enjoy this a little bit longer. Let that right hand go, Sneako. There you go.
All right, so here we go. Here we f***ing go. Strickland decides for this last 30 seconds, he's going to tee off on Sneako for no reason other than to show him I'm the big bad fighter and you're not man enough to handle me. By the way, just to remind you, Sneako has no fighting experience at all. And no one with a brain questions that Sean Strickland could beat the living out of Sneako. But again, in this moment, I don't care what you think about Sean Strickland and his political views and his daily life. In this moment, his ego was more important to him than protecting a guy that couldn't protect himself, so he does this shit.
There you go.
Oh.
There's the first towel thrown in. There's the second towel thrown in. Look at these goofs standing here smiling and shit. Look at Jake Shields. The fuck are you guys doing standing here letting him do this?
Jesus.
There's the third towel. Yeah, finally, Forrest Griffin decides, yeah, let me come in and stop this man before he literally does permanent damage to this influencer that can't protect himself. Look at how stupid and reckless this all is. Everybody with their phones out because, again, we'd rather get the video for Twitter than actually help the poor kid who's getting his brains beat in. And by the way, let's talk about this as well. It wasn't Sneako that asked Sean Strickland for this spar. It was Sean Strickland that asked Sneako to come spar him. So again, for everybody saying, well, this is what he asked for, this is what he got because this is what you get when you sign up for it, Sean was the one that invited him to come and spar. Let's roll the clip.
Anybody, your wife, wife, right?
Absolutely not, Sean.
Let's go,
Absolutely
bro.
not, Sean. We don't do that
I
over here.
respect that, bro.
Okay.
When we gonna fucking spar, bro? I heard we're gonna set that shit up and get it out.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I think that'd be fun.
How long you in town for?
I'll be in town.
When we gonna spar, bro? We need to set that shit up after he makes fun of him for being a cuckold. Again, Sean just flexing his ego on Sneako, like, hey man, no one's f***ing your wife, right? So when we sparring next? Do you think that Sneako, when Sean is talking to him about setting it up and doing this spar, again, I don't know how much Sneako knows about the UFC or about Sean Strickland personally, but do you think in any way he thinks that Sean, because he is a professional, is going to try to kill him in this spar? And if he did think that, you think Sneako says, yeah, let's just spar and we'll see what happens? No, this looks like a bonding moment between a fighter and a guy that doesn't know, just like any other fighter that you would see helping out an influencer or anybody else. But let's keep going because, again, I don't know if it's clear enough to you guys who was the one that understood more about the other and still decided to do this stupid shit.
I'll be in town for a couple more days. But boxing, though, MMA is a little, I don't know if that's going to be...
You ever had a boxing fight?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't.
We are wrestling tomorrow at 11.
So Sean knows that Sneako's never had a fight. In this conversation, a day before they spar. Sneako didn't ask him to spar. Sean asked him. And then he asked him if he'd ever had a fight so he could gauge where Sneako's skill level was. Knowing that Sneako doesn't have any, he still decides to go through with this dumb shit.
Wrestling?
No, I'll box, but we'll wrestle. I'll give you a couple rounds.
Okay, I'm supposed to train with Jake Shields tomorrow, so if you want to come at the same time.
Where is he training?
We're going to go to the UFC arena.
At 11?
I think right after prayer, so like maybe 2 o'clock. But I can go early.
Yeah, fuck, I don't know about that shit, dude, but I got you, bro. We'll be at 11.
All right, I'll see you there.
Bring Shields, bro. I invited him to come wrestle with us, too.
Okay.
Okay, so he was there with Jake Shields, which makes this even worse that Shields stood by and watched Sneako get pieced the f up. So let's just watch this one more time for people that don't understand, that think that Sean Strickland went 5% or 10%. He wasn't giving his all, Wade. Why are you getting all bent out of shape? He could have killed Sneako if he wanted. Let's just make sure that we know exactly what we just saw. Fucking massive left hand, turns over a right hand, lands an uppercut, flush, lands another uppercut, flush while he holds the head for the framing. Right hand after the break. Sneako has no idea how to defend himself, trying to turn away and get away from Sean. Another uppercut through, left hook through, right hand. Fair play. I'll say this. Sneako has some heart, man, because, again, it's real Adesanya didn't take some of these shots and stay on his feet. But Sneako, for whatever reason, was able. So my respect goes through the roof for Sneako doing this, but my respect for Sean Strickland plummets completely, because I didn't think he was the type of guy to just wail on dudes for no reason. That he's clearly better than, but maybe, you know, these cameras, this newfound fame that Sean Strickland's getting, maybe it's getting to his head a little bit. Maybe he does need to go and spar Alex Pereira the same way he sparred Sneako. Get a re-education as to what happens when someone better than him puts it on him the way he's putting it on influencers with no training. Look at that right hand actually missed. Right hand over the top, one hook. 2 hooks, unanswered, completely flush on the chin. 3 hooks, laser beams him. Yeah, again, he's holding up right here, right? He's not hitting him with everything he's got, right? These are patty cakes. Sean's not trying to put everything behind that, right? Yeah, that left hand's not him just winding up from outfield and banging it across Sneako's chin. That's not him doing that. Yeah, that one didn't have any power on it. Are you fucking stupid? This is complete and utter bully shit. And Sneako obviously got pieced up.
Fall down, Sneako.
Yeah, he didn't fall down, which is worse for you, Sean, that you couldn't drop this 165-pound streamer, has no experience in any sort of combat sport. Look at Jake Shield holding up a high five, like, hey, buddy, good job. Way to stick in there and get your ass handed to you. Everyone around here that allowed this shit to go on are a bunch of goofs. The other part of this that's hilarious to me is that Sean's like, yeah, Sneako, you stayed on your feet. Great job. No, that looks terrible for Sean Strickland, because not only were you throwing real shots trying to put him on his butt because you're congratulating him like, man, I couldn't put him down. Great job. That's not a good thing. A lot of Sean Strickland fans are going to sit here and excuse this like, oh, you know, that's Sean. He's teaching him a lesson there. He's got to learn that every man should get their ass beat like that and learn a lesson. First off, none of you motherfuckers are going to go in there and let Sean beat the shit out of you. Secondly, let's just change the names of the people involved here, because I know a lot of people don't like Sneako. I know that across the internet, people are like, man, I wish that kid would get his ass beat. Let's say that was a hated fighter, like, I don't know, Ian Gary. The influencer he was beating up on there without any experience was like, I don't know, Mr. Beast or Mini Minter, or how about it's not even an influencer, just a regular dude with no experience. And you got some cell phone footage of Ian Gary after Ian Gary asked him when he was gonna come spar, of him beating the living out of him for 45 seconds straight and no one stepping in to stop it. Do you think the reaction would be the same here? Do you think that everybody would be on board with this? Like, hey man, listen, bully beatdown needs to come back. No, all you motherfuckers would be in Ian Gary's DMs talking about how dare you, disrespectful bully, I hope you get your ass whipped, all that. Let's not play games like this was in any way cool for Sean Strickland to do because it's Sneako, or because he let Sneako work for 3 minutes, or because Sean Strickland just spars everyone like that. If that's you talking on the internet, you're full of shit and you know it. And out of this, a lot of people have had some reactions. You've had everyone from pretty much every part of the internet jumping on this thing, giving their opinion on this thing. And one of the people that came out and chastised Sean Strickland for doing this, fair play to him, is Jake Paul. And listen, I know what everyone's going to say, that I'm once again going to support Jake Paul in something. But dude, I was here when Jake beat the out of the Iraq kid, saying that it was dumb and it was bullshit and that Jake was a bully for doing it. And here's his message to Sean Strickland, which reiterates the same thing that I'm saying. He said, Sean Strickland, you're embarrassing for trying to stop Sneako like that. You weren't even able to drop someone with no experience while going all out. You're a horrid boxer that only picks on inexperienced people. I will fly you to PR and we can fight on camera. If you win, I'll give you $1 million, half your net worth. But if you get dropped, you have to get better tattooed on you. DM me. But just like Patty, I'm guessing you'll find a way to run. Jake followed that up with saying, I hate bullies. I was bullied and then was the bully sometimes in my YouTuber days. Which again, yeah, he was. The Iraq shit, Jake was a bully in that situation. He recognized that, and changing the way he went about things because of it is why boxing bullies exist, which he tags here. But now all my energy is focused on boxing bullies and helping the youth. When I see someone like Strickland constantly bullying people, it's time to bully back. Like, again, this is a W. People aren't going to like it because it's Jake Paul. And you can even see that here. Shut up, Jake. It's not bullying. He asked for it. He didn't ask for it. Now, Sean Strickland did respond to Jake because, again, I don't think Sean Strickland's afraid of Jake or any of these guys. I don't think Sean Strickland's really afraid of anyone. And he said, you lost to a part-time boxer, LOL. But yeah, so hey, listen, Sean Strickland is absolutely a bully for what he did to Sneako. And you're not going to convince me anything otherwise. It's just not going to be the case. And I don't care about the reason Sean may have had for doing it. I don't care about Sean letting him work for a little bit just to then do that. I don't care that Sean's willing to go and spar Jake. The point of this entire video was to illustrate that Sean did something very stupid and bully-like. Someone should have stepped in. Sneako could have been really permanently hurt with an ego that was completely unchecked. That's it. Those are the facts. That's what happened. With that being said, I will say, yeah, I'm interested in Jake sparring Sean Strickland. I think that's going to be fun. I think Sean is one of the better boxers in MMA. I've said this. I think he honestly gave a boxing lesson to Israel Adesanya the night they fought. Granted, in MMA, wasn't as strict, but still, I think this would be great. Other than the fact that the $1 million is on the line type thing, that could be a little bit of a sticky situation with the no-compete clauses that the UFC has in their contracts. People fighting outside of the organization for monetary gain is probably not something Dana's going to look at and take lightly. But this seems more realistic than any other UFC fighter fighting in boxing while they're currently on the roster. And again, Dana doesn't really control what these fighters do outside of their contract to fight for money in the UFC. So maybe Jake has to drop $1 million, but it seems like Sean Strickland would be down at any cost or maybe none at all, because he actually followed up with a couple of tweets of his own. He said, real talk, jokes aside, Jake Paul is an utter fucking joke. You buy small retired old MMA fighters and sell sugar water to kids. And then he says, if it were legal, I'd take your fucking life with a smile on my face. Is there any place on this earth I can take this man's life and walk? So there's Sean talking about taking another person's life because he dared to call out Sean for being what he absolutely was, a bully, to an influencer that didn't know how to fight, and Sean took advantage of that. But again, like any other time that Sean's ego's been checked or someone's come at him personally, he goes to the full-on extreme and talks about killing people. He doubles down and says, actually, Jake, I'll make you a better deal because money can't buy happiness and you have plenty of it, and you're still a word that I don't even think I could say on YouTube, and Leo, you might have to bleep out. No cameras, me and you in the desert. That would buy my happiness. No Instagram, no likes, no games. Just you, that's what I want. So again, using the I'll kill you, I'll murder you with a smile on my face as a way to deflect the fact that he did some stupid shit and someone called him out for it, to replicate it in the same way versus that individual. This is finally what Sean Strickland ended on for this complete fiasco to be done with, because I have a feeling this is where it's going to end. I want to conclude this. I think he meant to say with this. I want you all to understand the phenomenon that is Jake. You're a professional troll. You fight retired small MMA fighters because you're a troll. But the worst part of it all is that you're a cancer. You inspire people to be trolls because you were successful at it. Jake Paul, you might be rich, but you're not, man. You byproduct of society that has fallen. Your trolls will rally around you and be inspired to be like you, but understand one thing. You and your troll army are not my equals. Enjoy your virtual world where... I'm sorry. Enjoy your virtual world with the understanding that you're a cancer on this country. Money will never buy you dignity. Enjoy. The funny thing about this whole Sean Strickland diatribe is he's talking about Jake from like 2016 or 2017, where that was true. Like, Jake was a troll, and that was pretty much the entirety of his YouTube career. But the growth that Jake has been on, and I know people don't like when I talk about this, but it's just the truth. He isn't that person. He says you inspire people to accomplish nothing to be nothing, which is the complete opposite of what Jake's done with boxing bullies and repairing gyms down in Puerto Rico and paying those small MMA retired fighters more money than they ever made in the UFC to come and fight him. And not only that, but giving back to the fight community, bringing on people like Amanda Serrano and Shadeja Green, who got opportunities they never would have without Jake Paul. In his next fight, he's literally fighting for charity. You don't have to like Jake. And again, I'll never stand by the things he did while he was a YouTuber and the complete bully nature that was the case back then. But I'm also not going to sit here and watch people get on board and start high-fiving Sean Strickland as if he's the good guy. Sean, you did a stupid fucking thing. You allowed your ego to run wild on Sneako, who was there to spar you because you invited him to spar you. And a kid that had never been in that situation ever before, that hasn't even been training long enough to understand how to defend himself at all. You took advantage of him and you beat the shit out of what was pretty much a helpless individual just for your ego to flourish and show everybody you could do it. That doesn't sound like the real man that you always prescribe yourself to be. That sounds like a fucking bull. That's where I leave it, man. I don't know if Sean is going to go spar Jake once again. No, Sean is not afraid of Jake. And I would watch that spar. I just don't know with the monetary side of this if he's even allowed to do that because of the UFC no competes and contractual obligations to fight specifically in the UFC. I don't know how any of that works. But the moral of the story is, trained fighters should not be trying to knock out untrained fighters in any sort of spar. I don't care if the influencer or the person that's not trained asked to spar the fighter, but that wasn't even the case here. Sean asked Sneako to come and spar him when Sneako was going to be there doing something else. Sean let him work for a couple of minutes only to give himself the okay in his mind to go, well, because I did that, now I can go fucking beat his brains in. It was garbage. You all know it. I just want you to ask yourself if it was any other fighter, like I said a little bit ago, Ian Gary and your favorite influencer, and the same scenario went the same way, would you be okay with it? That's up to you to decide. What happens with Sean Strickland, Jake Paul, the spar? I don't have those answers, but I know one thing. At some point, the bullies get bullied. What comes around goes around. So for Sean Strickland and everybody else that supported this, I don't know when that'll happen, but guess we'll find out.